All right, here we go. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully, we went from 70 degrees to, I don't know, 70 inches in like less than a week. But hopefully everybody's having a great weekend. Hey, happy St. Patty's Day. In my teens and 20s, it was my favorite day of the year, and then things changed quickly. Quick sidebar story. In my early 20s, I worked for Miller. I had $1 million expense budget. Living in downtown Chicago, I called on the high volume bars and nightclubs. And I used to rent a trolley on the Saturday that they dyed the river in downtown Chicago. And I hired a 12-piece bagpiper band. And we would go into all the bars throughout downtown Chicago and they would part like the Red Sea. The bagpipers would play on the bars. I would buy the entire bar a Miller Lite. The bagpipers would play two songs. We'd get back in the trolley and go on to the next. And my entire job for 2 years was to create or curate brand experiences around the Miller brands, High Life, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Leinenkugels, whatever, so that young people as they were coming up of age would curate these experiences with really fun things into what they're doing now. Cool sidebar story about what I used to do. We're doing it today from Office Office. The Lucky Leprechaun. All right, but let's get into it. Two things important today. One, I got at 8 o'clock this morning, I got sideswiped with something rather important that you should be paying attention to. So between 8 a.m. this morning until about 8:45 this morning, I was trying to learn as much as possible to give you a heads up. Two, we have an incredible panel of your peers this morning. 250 million in production is a final bow on our family reunion recap. I asked four of your peers to jump on to help focus on three key areas that they are focusing on from family reunion of what they plan to implement within their business. I think it was an incredibly worthy conversation and discussion around what are people at large scale production doing and thinking about, and what were the takeaways they had from family reunions. So we're going to share that with you today. Sound good? All right, beautiful. So let's jump right into it. Here we go. I'm going to move right along here, and we're going to celebrate the other half of the February cappers that we didn't get to last week. So first up, this is, I'm just going to check one thing quick. Nice. All right. So this person, she came into the organization roughly 8 or 9 years ago, was learning how to navigate, how to build scale, then went on to have two children, who also has a husband who has a very, very successful career as an M&A attorney. She's carved out a really nice niche for herself. Got to give a shout out to Kirsten Lindstrom for capping in the month of February. Next up, over in the North Shore, also on the same team, an incredible shark in the most positive of ways. And what do I mean by that is she's not afraid to ask for the sale. And it shows up in both her professional life, but also in her personal life in terms of how she gives back within her community, whether it's through Tempo, whether it's through the United Way. Got to give a shout out to Ginger Lazovic for capping in the month of February. Next up, this is an incredible agent who has jumped onto a team within her first year of business. The team has created the structure and environment of accountability and the framework for success, has scaled quickly within their first 12 months. Got to give a shout out to Maisha Hollis for capping in the month of February. Next up, an incredible woman, incredible mom, has that ooze and aura of positivity and energy. When she walks into a room, your world just gets brighter for it. Got to give a shout out to Emily Gilders for capping in the month of February. Next up, this is a guy who quietly goes about his business, builds it brick by brick, not more than dabbles in the commercial space, but has done a really nice job focusing in the investor and commercial space. Got to give a shout out to Ryan Dworick for capping in the month of February. Next up, similarly, I've known this woman since maybe close to high school. She is now married to a friend of mine that I went to high school with and was my wife's next door neighbor. She's what I call building a multi-generational business with her mom. Just an incredible energy. And I got to give a little shout out and a plug because her and her husband own the Lakeshore Chinooks, which is a minor or college independent baseball team that plays out of Capco Park in Mequon. Got to give a shout out to Bridget Casey for capping in the month of February. And then last up, Someone who has been in our environment for several years. You've heard the story of her kids because I know her kids, love her kids. Her son was on the Northern Illinois football team that upset Notre Dame. She's the epitome of KW culture. She is now one of our PC coaches out of the innovation space and just oozes everything we try and live to believe with through our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Congrats to Leah Bird for capping in the month of February. All right. So on that theme of a culture of productivity and a culture of results, wanted to share with you guys and highlight a handful of folks through February and year-to-date production results. So jumping into it, $1 Million Month Club in the month of February. Shout out to Abby Myers, Abby Wall, Aletha Champagne, Becky Bednarik, Becky Thomas, Emily Matson, Emily Fair, Ginger Lazovic, Holly Speranza, John Molitor, Josh Holt, Catherine Eaglehoff, Katie Naw, Katie Rumor, Kirsten Lindstrom, Laura Stoner, Lori Flatt, Lindsay Andrews, Maggie Rattino, Martha Ola, Mary Walgren, Maureen Stallé, Nancy Brennan, Nicole McGonigal, and Paris Hebner. Congrats on an incredible February. Next up, Home Run Club in the month of February. This is the list you want to be on. Why? Because it means you got paid in February and you're doing the activities that will continue to get paid that creates consistency in income. So this is the group that took one listing taken, one contract written, and one contract closed in the month of February. Jumping into it, GCI for agents on a team so far through February. Ginger Lazovic leading the way. Newbie, Christiane, Stephanie Miller, Jason Stelling, Say Kilp, JOC, DJ Frisch, Natasha Duvall, Donovan Smith, Angela Funk, Nathan Baraki, Noach Jubilier, Carrie Tabor, and AJ George rounding it out for agents on team as GCI earned. Volume percentage increase year to date. These are the people that have absolutely jumped out to start the year. This is highest percentage volume increase so far. Donovan Smith, Rachel Schreiner, Bailey Eicher, Lacey Miley, Brad Yates, Lori Flatt, Nick Jensen, Sean Olenichek, Morgan Young, Nicole Maldonado, Matthew Schmitz, Ben Byers, Judy Tanis, Benji Cohen, and Kelly Kirkman. Congrats so far through February. Highest percentage increase year to date. February individual volume, Laura Stoner leading the way at 2.6, Abby Wall clipping at her heels at 2.4, Mary Walgren, Katie Rumor, Lindsay Andrews, Becky Bednarik, John Molitor, Paris Hebner, Lori Flatt, Abby Myers, Mark Krieger, Sally Prell, Andrea Crivello, Judy Moffitt, Kim Yanchensky, Benji Cohen, Jill Fink, Melissa Bradley, Colleen Grams, and Demara Bolton rounded it out for top 15 individual agents for February volume. Year-to-date individual units, Stoner and Molitor leading the way at 11, Becky right on their heels at 10, Abby Wall, Mary Walgren, Paris Hebner, Allison Maris, Lindsay Andrews, John Bulawa, Leah Bird, Sarah Oberbrunner, Abigail Jacques, Demara Bolton, Ivory Stewart, James Menger, Joey Carini, Judy Moffitt, Sarah Reardon, Benji Cohen, and Carly Carroll rounding it out for individual year-to-date units. And then finally, individual volume year-to-date, Becky leading the way at 3.7, Laura Stoner, $1,100 behind her. John Molitor, Abby Wall, Sarah Oberbrunner, Mary Walgren, Lori Flatt, Maggie Drain, Paris Ebner, Nicole Ross, James Menger, Melody Hendrickson, Katie Rumor, Lindsay Andrews, Jill Fink, Allison Maris, John Bulua, Judy Moffitt, Abigail Jacques, and Sarah Reardon rounding it out for top 15 year-to-date individual volume through February. Now, teams, Highmark Real Estate leading the way at 11.4 in the single month of February alone. FRG at 5.2, Tony Wendorf and Associates at 4.7, Fair Hinton, Champagne, SRG, Holt, Root River, the El Safi, Levine, A-Key Home, the Thai Team, On Point, Gallagher Lake Country, Kettle Moraine Realty Group, MKE Real Estate Collective, House to Home Team, the Gossmans, Houseworks, and Enlighten rounding it out for teams in the single month of February over the 28 days. Year-to-date team units, Highmark leading the way, Root River, FRG, Levine, El Safi, A-Key Home, Fair Hinton, SRG, Tony Wendorf, Holt, MK Real Estate Collective, the Thai Team, On Point, Champagne, Kettle Moraine, PFPG, Gallagher Lake Country, the Gossmans, Desties, and Enlighten. And then so far, year-to-date team volume, Highmark leading the way, FRG, SRG, El Safi, Gallagher Lake Country, Fair Hinton, Root River, Tony Wendorf and Associates, Holt Real Estate, Champagne, On Point, Levine, A-Key Home, the Thai Team, House to Home, Houseworks Collective, MK, Kettle Moraine, the Gossmans, and Desties, rounding it out. The reason why we share this and we do this, guys, I share this a lot. part of it's inspiration, part of it's aspiration. Who are you looking to? Who's doing well? Who's killing it? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What does a culture of productivity look like? And how are you pacing yourselves in terms of where you are based on the goals you set? And you set your own goals, and your end game is your own destination, right? And so I share that with you is to say comparison is the thief of joy. And yet it's also great to highlight those that are doing things at such an incredible level and those that you want to learn from and lean on. So congrats for those that have had a killer start to the year so far in February. All right. So I want to jump into a conversation with a panel of your peers. And I asked Colleen Grams, Emily Matson, Isam El Safi, and Tony Wendorf to jump on with us this morning. Last year combined collectively as a group, they did roughly 250 million in closed production in 2025. And all four of them have one thing in common. And the one thing, well, two things in common. One, they went to family reunion, and two, they're growing their businesses. They're growing their businesses in a tough environment that's highly competitive. I've shared with you a lot of the data as to why and how that's showing up. And they also have something else in common. They attended family reunion for the first time. And so there were some light bulb moments in terms of some of the content and takeaways. And I asked that group to jump on to share that with you today in the spirit of collaboration and sharing what it is that they're thinking about as they head deeper into 2026. So with that, I'm going to jump into a conversation with the four of them. And I'd ask first question, and Colleen, I'm going to lead with you, ladies first. A big portion of the conversation was around content and influence. Talk a little bit around Colleen, what were some of your takeaways from a content and influence conversation, and what is it that you plan to implement in 2026?
Yeah, so there's so much, Charlie. But first and foremost, it was essentially, if you're not on social media, you need to be, or you're not going to be here much longer. There was one message that really resonated with me and the group I was with, and it was the tools that got you here aren't going to be the tools that get you there. And so we all need to realize that what we did in the past may not work for us in the future. And I think they're specifically thinking about social media. And from that standpoint, the biggest thing that I took away was the very first speaker on the first day said something that just resonated. And it was, for whenever you're thinking about, should I post this on social media? What are people going to think? Am I going to look weird? Am I going to look salesy? And she said that what you need to answer to those people is respectfully, you are not my audience. And you move along and you post it because you are posting this to make money. And that is what we are here for. And so those two things really helped reframe everything for me. And since I've come back, that's what I'm using to help reframe my entire social media strategy.
Love it. I think one of the things I would add to that too is, Gary Vee had a conversation and he said there are 7 platforms everyone should be posting to almost every day. I think most of us think about Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok, maybe YouTube. And he talked a lot around the 7 platforms and how do you leverage your voice and content across the 7 platforms. And by the way, it can't be copy and paste across the 7 platforms. Emily, how about you? Content and influence was a big theme. What was some of your takeaways from day one?
Yeah, I echo what Colleen said. There was so much quality information. It's really hard to pinpoint quickly what was the best. But one thing I'd like to say, in addition to what Colleen said, is being really intentional about the content you create and by focusing on your target audience. So really thinking about like, who is my target? Who is that person? Like, think about like when you're about to post, is it Charlie and Megan Stallé, right? With kids and think specifically about the person and make the post for that person because you're most likely going to create something that is just more valuable. And then when you do create content and it goes viral or it just gets more likes than normal, take that specific post or story and amplify it and boost it and try to get it kind of reaching further than it just was organically. I think those are some really important things that I took away. And lastly, you have to be on YouTube, which I am not. So one of my big goals this year is to get on YouTube and to start creating some content that's valuable, that can kind of live in the world. Because as Colleen said, and they were very frank and said, if you are not living on the internet, you are going to become extinct. And when you actually really think about that, it's true, because that's where we're headed in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So anyone here listening is here for longevity, like I am, I'm kind of mid-career and probably have 20 years left. I have to figure out how to live on the internet so that people continue to call me as their trusted advisor.
Yeah, two follow-up things I'd share off of Emily's comments was this. Most of the content our industry posts suffers from a virus. And the virus is our content is very selfish in nature. Look at me, look at me, look at buy this house, look at what I did, look at what I accomplished. And the challenge in the room was how do you come from a place of contribution that is speaking to your audience where you're adding value within the content that you're providing. So love it. Isam, how about you? Different stage in your career, right? And made a big transition. And we're talking about content influence. And you shared a comment I couldn't stop thinking about as it relates to last time we spoke at the ALC meeting around videos. What was your takeaway from content and influence?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was so good to go because it was both inspirational and it made you feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in a good way, in that you realize you sort of have to pivot and steer in a different direction. And you said it beautifully in that our marketing today is just not connecting with people because it's very much inwardly looking. And for me, as kind of an old person, I really avoided social media because to be honest, I'm kind of antisocial. And so I started to reframe how I think of social media. And one of the panelists at Family Reunion said it beautifully. And that was to stop looking at it as social media and start thinking of it as answer media. Answer questions, solve problems, give advice and counsel and guidance to people, whatever your audience is. And when you put that hat on, it makes it a lot easier to find things to write about and find things to comment about. So that was really important to me. That sort of aha moment is think of it as answer media. So I would say that. The other thing I would say is that every one of the people that I bumped into at a conference who was really successful in this arena makes this a regular part of their weekly activity. Think about your business today. You have you do open houses on Sunday, you do follow-ups on Monday, like you have a rhythm and cadence to your schedule now. And what I've done, which is different, and that is time blocked in my calendar now are days that I'm writing content. And I think if we don't time block that specific time to create and produce content, then it kind of doesn't work very well. If you stick it in your calendar and you write consistently, then at least you have a structure to this process. And I think that's what it needs, is some structure.
Love it. It's how do you think about the framework around how you're developing? One of the things I'd share, Isam, to your comment there around some of the sensitivity that people have is last week I had dinner with Stephen Watson. Stephen Watson is the sideline reporter for the Brewers and Bucks. He's been on TV for a long time. And one of the things I asked him to was in relation to content and video. And I said, man, Stephen, your job must be like really hard. Like, how do you get over the anxiety and fears of getting in front of the camera? And you know what Stephen said to me? He goes, I think your job is 10 times harder than my job. I said, yeah, but you have millions of people who watch you. And he goes, yes, but I only have to deliver content to a TV camera. And I don't know who's watching it. I don't know who's behind it. I just have to look into a camera and speak and communicate effectively and tell a story. He goes, that's way easier than having to get in front of people and get in front of them and communicate with them. And then you're worried about their energy and the things that you receive. He goes, I have no feedback receptors. And I thought to myself, if we only thought of that in that way as it relates to how our brands lived digitally, we would remove the anxiety and fear around what we put out into the world. Tony, how about you? Content and influence. What were some of the key takeaways that you plan to implement within your business in 2026?
Yeah, I echo obviously what everybody else has said so far. Isam, I remember both answer media and interest media. So to me, I also think about like, okay, so what am I putting out there to people? And I see everybody puts out, oh, I have an open house, I have a closing, or look at this, I just listed this. Just people don't care about that. So they care about what their interests are. So for example, something that I took that I was like, okay, maybe this summer I'm going to do something humorous regarding golf because I enjoy golf. And then people watch that, they see that, they begin following, and they keep getting that content put in front of them based upon their interest in what they see for me out there or other people with that content. The other thing that I took away was uh, YouTube Shorts. They really hit on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, you're missing. And have I done everything in these first few weeks since we've been back? No, but we are, actively looking at solutions. And I think the other part from that was if it's not something that I'm able to do or do effectively or to the level that we wanted to do, we need to find someone that can help us and leverage.
Love it.
Can I just comment on Fridgen very quickly? This making your first video. So I did my first video. And the first video was me recording myself telling myself that this is your first video. It's not going to be great. It's going to be terrible. And I just got it all out of my system. And your first one's going to be bad. Just own it, accept it, know it, and just get it out of your system. And the next one I'm thinking is going to be better. And the third one, and so on and so forth. So I guess my feeling is just like, get it out of your system.
Love it. The Tony, to your point, as it relates to YouTube, a stat that was shared that we need to be thinking about is YouTube is the largest search engine in the world. Okay. YouTube is also owned by Google. And if you think about the advent of AI and where people are going to, most people are actually starting their searches now by creating a prompt in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and some of these other things. Well, the arms race in AI is there's a belief that the Gemini over time, owned by Google, will win the arms race in terms of consumer content generation, in terms of where people will start. And if you think about the substack of technology, Google owns YouTube. Then they also own Gemini. Gemini is going to search a variety of platforms, and they're going to start with their own internal platforms first before they go to external. And so to Tony's comment, as it relates to why YouTube is important, is your brands have to live on YouTube. So they're within the stack of Google, because over time, there's a belief that Google's AI platform will drive the most consumer execution and utilization. And so if your brands aren't living on YouTube, we need to start thinking about how does that live? And also to Isam's point, your first video to your 100th video will look vastly different, and be okay with the journey that you're on. Okay, Colleen, going back to you. The second question I posed to the group was more so around like tactics, structure. Most of the breakouts are around tactical elements, and you're learning from a variety of peers across the country that are geographically diverse. What was some of the things that you learned from a tactical or structural element that you plan to implement in your business? Like, what was your big thing where you're like, okay, I really need to be thinking about this in 2026, tactically within your business?
I think the biggest one is really around social media as well. And I'm a solo agent. For those of you who don't know me, I'm not on a team. It's just me. But now, after coming back from this, there was such a huge shift in the way that I think about everything. I am now have a new messaging framework that I've developed. I'm using a content calendar. I have a month's worth of content planned out. I'm putting in my calendar time to go shoot B-roll. So that's of houses, of me in houses, things like that. And I'm time blocking that, and I'm going to protect that. I'm vowing to myself and to all of you that I'm going to protect that. And I'm going to keep doing this because I need to. And it's something that I've always known I wanted to do, but going to family reunion and seeing all of those people around us that are pushing us and helping us and encouraging us to do better, it just made it so much more real to me. And now I'm committing to doing it.
Love it. Emily, how about you? From a tactics or structural element, how are you thinking about your business differently heading into 2026?
Yeah, I went to a really interesting breakout, and it was specifically focused on how to target move up and downsizing sellers. And there was a diverse panel of agents from across the country, and they went over their specific strategies that they've used for years and they've been very successful. And when I looked back at our listings over the last 12 months, 60% of them were 55 and plus in terms of age of sellers. So, and you have said this before, when you look at who owns the homes, right? The baby boomer generation is holding this, enormous amount of equity and inventory. And so I have my goal this year, which we're in the thick of spring, so it's not happening now, but hopefully when things calm down in the summer, it's about building like a golden transitions business model for your sellers who are specifically downsizing. And the way that you do that is you're very intentional about setting appointments with people in your circle and your sphere that would be part of that golden transitions plan. So first you look to your past clients, right? Who do you know that's an attorney, a divorce attorney, an estate attorney, financial advisors, CPAs, right? Anyone that somebody in that demographic might need as they are, selling their home and transitioning to their next phase. You create this core group of vendors and contractors. And the goal of that is to have, of course, this incredible list of people that you can offer to the sellers when they need help, but also in turn to have this sort of micro referral network where everyone is kind of referring back and forth. Because naturally, when someone calls a CPA to ask about capital gains that they might have to pay when they sell their, rental in Shorewood, if that person knows me, right, they should say, you should really call Emily, find out what it's worth. So that is one of my goals this year, is to focus on the Golden Transitions plan and to create a network of very close vendors.
Yeah, what I love about it is two things. One, you're framing the conversation to the audience you desire to work with. And two, knowing that last year, the median age of all people who transacted was 56 years old, you're understanding you're hitting the broadest marketplace. And then how do you communicate an effective strategy that speaks to their needs at the time in life when they need you?
Yep.
Love
And
it.
another big aha moment I had is I've always thought, oh, well, most of my clients are like me. They're, middle-aged 30 somethings with kids and that's not really when I look at my business. I mean, that is a big part of my business, but when I actually look at the listing inventory, it's not that demographic.
It's segmenting your database to understand who your audience is.
Yep.
100%. Isam, how about you? From a tactics and structure standpoint, what was maybe one of your key takeaways from a breakout?
Well, for me, really, I was just took a deep dive into answer media, interest media, as I'm now going to call it. And so one of the big hangups for me was like, what am I going to write about? What is the content? Like, how many articles can you write about pricing? And then I realized that really the content is all around you every single day. Just open up your email and you're going to get something from MLS giving you some market data. Go on a home inspection and you're going to see some problem that came up in the home inspection that you were able to solve. You can write about that. And so I just every day, every part of my week, I realized that, wow, there's something almost every day that I could write a 200-word article or do a short post about. And I guess more than anything, it was just opening up my eyes to what was happening around me. And there was an opportunity to write about it. So that was kind of my big takeaway.
It's interesting. We live in a society where content is actually more robust than we might realize. And it's how do we repurpose content with our frame to speak to those that we desire to speak to within the geographics in which we desire to work. And if we open our minds to the content that's available to us, content actually becomes easy. I love that. Tony, how about you from a structural standpoint or tactical standpoint? What was one of your big takeaways from 2026 or from family reunion that you plan to implement in 26?
Well, transparently speaking, I walked around for 3 days feeling like I knew absolutely nothing about real estate, which is not a bad thing either. I really don't think it is. It was incredible, but for me, it was really about taking a step back, reflecting on what we've done in our business, and then where we need to go. So looking at top line versus bottom line. And then really for us about taking a look, better understanding the MREA model, not something I'd been very familiar with in terms of how to build out a business. The thing that we're implementing immediately actually is operations, getting an operations director and really trying to find leverage to allow us to do the things that we're really good at, right? Because there's a lot of time wasters out there. that we do. And I love hearing Esam talk about time blocking. I'm a huge time blocking nerd. But I think that for me, understanding the things that with the time that I have in here, I need to be very intentional with, and then have some of the other things, delegated out to someone else. But
Totally. And I think, Tony, what you said in the very beginning is you felt like you didn't know anything in real estate. You were in an environment where that's where you allow growth to occur because you recognize that the uncomfortableness of what you might be doing or might not be doing is what actually allows you to be thinking strategically about how you operate your business and what is it that you need to be doing to really excel in where you think you might have deficiencies.
yeah.
Love it. All right, last question, quick hitters. And Colleen, I'll go back to you. It's a first-time attendee, a worthy investment of your time, energy, and resources in attending family reunion?
100%. I think it was around $2,000 is what I totally spent, flight, the ticket to get in, the food while you're there, the hotel while you're there. 100% worth it. I mean, I'm worth $2,000, right? And I know that that's an investment in me and my future. So I'm already planning for Houston next year.
Love it. Emily, how about yourself?
Yeah, I thought it was a great time spent. I'm planning to bring my team next year. And I will say I was very overwhelmed because I just didn't have, I've been to real estate conferences, but they're much smaller and more intimate. And so I got there and I was just like, I felt like I needed like 3 days to decompress afterwards. So I will come better mentally prepared next time to absorb everything that's happening.
Love it. Esam?
Well, you couldn't help but feel like you were surrounded by the best thinkers, the best idea generators, the best process improvers, the most forward-thinking group in real estate. Like it was like trying to take a sip through a fire hose. There was just so much goodness there. And so that was my first realization. But my second realization is, gosh, how terrible would it be to be exposed to all of this and then not have a plan to implement? And so I guess my message to all of us is all of that is available to us, but it really is ultimately incumbent upon us to reach out and engage, like to seek out these people, to connect with them. That's our responsibility. The resources are there. We just have to make a point of taking advantage of it.
Love it. Tony, final thoughts?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's something that I would go back to. It was an outstanding investment in terms of who you get a chance to meet, because it's not always about the content. It's also who you get in front of. I had an opportunity, Will Stallé, your brother, had introduced me to his MAPS coach, which I connected with and have immediately started. I met two referral partners, one in Florida and another one out in Portland. And I think those types of connections are really important and were nice. The other thing I think that really kind of struck me, I've had one experience with at First Weber, at my past brokerage, and the thing that really struck me was how much Keller Williams invests in their people. It was more than just the breakout, and it was just everything. I looked around many times. I stopped, and it was impressive, and I felt like it was something bigger than what we are, and that was neat to see.
Love it. Well, I appreciate Colleen, Emily, Esam, Tony. Thank you guys for jumping on to share your thoughts with the group. I think it's always incredibly powerful when peers are willing to share with their peers. And I'd leave you with two final parting thoughts for the group. One, education without implementation is just entertainment. And you don't do these things to be entertained. So what is it that we plan to implement, and how is it that you are coming back and taking, whether you were there or not, how do you take the nuggets in order to implement structure? And two, as it relates to your business, and this was a theme that all four of them brought forth, is your business has to live digitally and be digitally based and physically enhanced. Digitally based, physically enhanced. And I talked to last week around your value proposition of the future is around your sensory experience that you provide. And so digitally based, physically enhanced, and how do you implement what it is that you guys are learning in order to take your unfair share of market share in 26? Guys, thanks for jumping on and participating.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sweet. All right. With that, I'm going to jump back in because there's something else that was breaking news that I alluded to this morning. And I more so need you guys to be aware as to what's going on. So give me 1 sec while I jump back in to the content. Give me 1 sec. Sorry. All right. So there we go. All right, so here we go. Jumping back in, there was a breaking announcement this morning that happened at 8 a.m. And I need you guys to be aware as to what's going on. So a couple weeks ago, actually February 26th, so almost exactly 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of noise in the airwaves around a partnership that Compass curated with Redfin as well as Rocket Mortgage and around their strategy around coming soon listings. And there was a lot of industry chatter around it. And also, what would this mean for the industry? How would this show up? And well, part of it was as I was sitting back in the background to say, I wonder how the industry is going to react to this. This morning at 8 a.m., Zillow released a press release. I was not privy to this information before the press release, so you have to give me a little grace and patience because I don't know all the tactics and structure to it. But this morning at 8 a.m., Zillow cut a deal with Keller Williams, Remax, Home Services, United to counter the Compass move. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight as to what this is and how this will live out as the largest consumer-facing residential real estate platform in the world, Zillow. Basically, here's how it works, and I'm going to walk you through this. I don't know it all off. I mean, I'm literally got this morning. But here's where it is. During a preview period, listings will have an opportunity to be publicly visible and receive priority placement in search and save home searches on Zillow platforms. All Zillow Preview listings must have at least one listing photo, the full address and property specification, listing description, year built, tax, and homeowners association information showing instructions, price, listing, contract day, and expected on-market date. Think of this as your opportunity to pre-market coming soons, or in our market, as we call delayed listings. Remember, I'm going to just pause here and give you a little bit of a coaching moment. All listings should produce 2 babies. Okay? All listings should produce 2 babies. 1 referral through the experience that you provide to the clients, and 1 organic lead that comes from the way you market the property. Delayed listings is one of the most powerful tools for you to enhance the opportunity for all listings to have 2 babies. Okay? I would make a very strong argument that a listing agent who takes a listing at 8 a.m. on Thursday and it goes live by noon on Thursday and it gets sold by 5 p.m. on Thursday absolutely not only did them a disservice, but did their clients a disservice. You need to be thinking about that. And I just thought of a note. I'm going to walk you through the structure of how listings have babies in the future. But this is a really powerful enhancement in terms of the opportunity that you have and that Keller Williams entered into. Okay. Now, going back into the article, we've made a lot of noise in the past year. This is we being Zillow, about listing transparency and how sellers benefit from broad exposure and buyers deserve equal access to inventory and shouldn't be forced to work with a particular brokerage to get access to inventory. So the idea of the preview is to provide exposure to these pre-active listings to everybody. We think it is a continuation of the work for transparency. The listings will feature the branding of their listing brokerage. The listing agents will receive information on the number of views, saves, shares, and tour requests each preview listing receives. Zillow said agents and their sellers can use this information to help them to inform pricing and marketing decision before the listing goes live. Interesting. Now, here's why it might be important to you, and this is the carrot that they're offering. Again, structurally, I don't know much about this. I just learned about it about 10 minutes before I even walked into this room, so we're getting this live information, and I'll gather more. Consumers viewing Zillow preview listings will be able to contact the listing agent directly via the contact agent button or schedule a tour of the property after the listing becomes active with the help of a Zillow preferred buyer's agent through the schedule a tour button. Here's the key. You're listing your lead during the preview section. Okay. Agents with Zillow Preview listings will not be charged for any leads they obtain through the Contact Agent button on their own listings when they are in the preview status. Samuelson said that if a Zillow Preview listing generates a buyer lead that later closes with a Zillow Preferred Agent, the listing agent will receive a referral fee equal to 10% of the buyer's agent commission. That is something we are choosing to pay. It does not change the economics for the buyer's agent. Interesting. Again, I don't know the exact details or structure to this. The company said they expect Zillow Preview listings to be live on brokerage websites as well as Zillow affiliated sites and applications starting in April of 2026. This is moving fast. We think the difference between what we are doing and what others are doing is that this is about providing access to listings for everybody without steering a consumer to work with a particular brokerage or without agents feeling pressure to join a particular brokerage in order to gain access to inventory. The whole goal here is to shine sunlight on the listings and make sure everybody can see what's in the market. We think this is a pro-competitive, pro-consumer, and we think the long run will be a winning strategy. Now, here's the context for you on a macro level. There's been a massive portal battle going on. Zillow is fighting with Compass. Compass is suing every MLS in the country. Everybody's fighting over data. And then Homes.com decided to enter the race 2 years ago and spent $30 million during the Super Bowl and try to enter this race as well. The race is all around access to data. Data. Compass's whole acquisition of Anywhere Brands, which is Century 21, Sotheby's, Better Homes and Gardens, yada, yada, yada. It was 21 brands, was all around controlling the listing inventory to control data because Compass on a national and macro scale didn't have enough scale in order to drive a portal play that would drive scale to the data. So they made a move with Rocket companies, Rocket Mortgage and Redfin, to drive this to the Redfin pool platform. And Zillow's move was to say, okay, we'll see you and we'll go gobble up. I would imagine this is roughly 45 to 50% of the overall listing inventory across the US on the #1 consumer search website to say, this is our counter move to all that's going on. Net. Admittedly, I am not sure I have an opinion on all of this yet because I'm not well enough informed to give you an opinion on where I think this is going. I like the move from a KW perspective. I like that it's on Zillow. I like that they're respecting the listing agent. I understand the strategy as it relates to delays or coming soons and how you need to be leveraging and utilizing it from a strategy standpoint to ensure that your listings have babies, 2 babies, right? And there's still a lot more to come out on this because I only learned about this about 10 minutes before I came into the room. And so I tried to give you late breaking news so you heard it from me and not through anywhere else. Fair? More to come in all of this. We will break this down. There, as a team, we are supposed to be on a call at 10:15 to get more information. As we get more information, we will deliver more information. I'm going to help you understand why listings should have 2 babies. I'll walk you through the math. We'll get you more information on the Zillow Premier or Zillow Preview. Zillow Preview, Zillow Premier, Zillow this, Zillow that. I don't know. We'll help you figure it out. We'll help you navigate it to be competitively ready for it. Sound good? All right. I'd be remiss if I didn't touch base on it today because it just was announced this morning. With that, then, Lindsay Vranick is jumping on to give us a tech and marketing updates. Linz, what do these guys need to be paying attention to?
Okay, good morning, everybody. So just a couple of updates here, some resources that I wanted to share with you this morning. So the first is our Community Pulse magazine. So hopefully by now you guys have seen these kind of sprinkled throughout the offices. You've heard Courtney talk about it on past team meetings, but new this year, we are actually doing quarterly editions of this magazine, and we want to hear from you. So if you've taken a look at the magazine and you've seen some of those community insights and wondered, okay, how do I get my input in here? We want to hear from you. So similarly to what we did last fall, we have a survey again. So we would love you guys to scan that QR code and take that survey. Provide us with the insights that you want us to include in the Q2 edition of the Community Pulse magazine. So my suggestion is what would you share with your clients? So if someone's moving to the Milwaukee area, where is the best coffee shop? Where do you want to take your family in the fall? Share those insights with us. We want to include those in the magazine so that this is a polished, hyper-local guide that showcases your neighborhood expertise. So again, that QR code is on there. Scan that. It'll take you to a form to fill out. We just want to hear your feedback and we'd love to include that in the next edition. Going off of that. Okay, so next thing, love that we had that panel today. I feel like everyone talked a lot about social media. So Social Media Con happened at Family Reunion this year. Heard it was a really valuable event and a lot of takeaways. And so what Keller Williams did was they broke that down, boiled that down into 10 ahas, and they came out with a one-sheeter that if you scan that QR code, it'll take you to where you can download that. But a lot of really great key takeaways there. It's essentially just a roadmap for agents to transition from casual posting to doing social media on purpose. And I loved a lot of the insights that the panel shared today. And this touches on a lot of those things. And just a few of those included that I thought was really interesting was you only have 1.7 seconds to capture people's attention on social media. So it's really important to use the right tools like Canva or AI to create your content that's clear and creative enough to stop the scroll. So keep that in mind, 1.7 seconds to capture people's attention. So we are living in this AI world, and you know, your energy and your passion are still hugely competitive advantages. So don't forget that. So you want to show your face, your voice. It's going to build that familiarity that's necessary for high stake transactions. And you want to avoid real estate jargon. Focus on local businesses or real client questions. So loved what Isam said about, you know, taking some of those questions that you get from clients and then putting those out on social media. What do people want to hear about? So that one sheeter is available. Scan that QR code. That's going to get you access to these takeaways along with Gary's vision speech, and then also Charlie's notes that he provided last week. So all of those family reunion resources are linked through that QR code. They're also available on our website, kwrealtymke.com. in the Agent Hub under Event Resources. Another resource that Keller Williams provides is the MREA podcast. Now, this has been around for a while now, but I wanted to share this again as a reminder that this is available. So another QR code for you guys, lots of QR codes today. So that'll take you to the YouTube channel where you can view all of those past episodes. So this is the #1 podcast for real estate agents. It's hosted by Jason Abrams. And each episode is going to deliver practical, actionable tips from top performing real estate agents and other professionals within the real estate industry. Just yesterday, they dropped an episode with Gary V, who was one of the speakers at Social Media Con at Family Reunion. It's only a 30-minute episode, but a lot of quick hitters, a lot of what he talked about at Social Media Con at Family Reunion. So if you missed out on Family Reunion this year, or if you just want to watch him again, really great episode that dropped just yesterday. So really highly recommend following the MREA podcast and listening to those past episodes. All right, so switching gears a little bit. So I want to ask you guys a question. Who here remembers the Friday vibe checks on Instagram? Anybody? Okay, we got a few in the North Shore office. So we are going to bring that back in a little bit different light here. So in light of March Madness happening this week, we are actually going to start what we are calling the Battle of the Vibes. So love that we're talking a lot about social media, and we're going to put together a tournament which essentially combines March Madness and the Friday vibe check. So I'm gonna have Courtney jump on and explain this a little bit. So we're gonna launch this new contest for social media in the next coming weeks. So Courtney, I'll have you jump on and explain a little bit more.
Perfect. Thanks, Lindsay. So, kind of how she said, to get on that social media bandwagon, we are wanting to have our agents and or teams come on and kind of battle for different types of vibes. So, what's going to happen is we are going to accept the first 16 teams and or individual agents into a bracket, and you're going to go head to head against agents in a 30-second maximum, right around there, video. So what we're going to do is we are going to be playing these videos on Tuesday team meetings, and then we'll have it be out on our Instagram for voting for about 24 hours. And then each winner on Friday will be announced on our Instagram feed, and we'll move forward to the next round. You might be asking, why would I do this? Well, A, to kind of dip your toes in the water. If you haven't been big on social media, this would be a great way to start. But B, we have a prize. So the stakes or the why of doing it, the winner of all of this will receive 1 hour, a dedicated session with a pro filmmaker, and they are going to edit and share with you a 1-minute video that you'll be able to post out on your socials. And that can be anything that you'd like it to be for your business. If you have an open house coming up that you want to feature, so you can kind of tailor that to what you'd like it to be. But that's kind of our prize and the premise of it. For the rules, again, you're going to have that video be around 30 seconds. Each round is going to be a specific vibe, so we'll kind of have a theme to guide you a little bit. And then we will have submissions be due the Monday before team meeting or the Monday before that Tuesday that your battle will be. So Charlie, if you hit to that next slide, there is another QR code if you'd like to scan to join. Like I said, we're going to take the first 16 teams, kind of sticking with that March Madness topic. We started at the Sweet 16, so we jumped a couple steps, but we will have everything set in stone by the 26th next week, and we'll be sending out the bracket by Friday. And then Charlie, if you want to go one more slide, just to kind of give you a visual of what it will look like, we are going to have those 16 teams starting, and our first date that we will go will be Tuesday, April 7th. So we will have 2 battles essentially that will be shown and 2 winners moving forward that first week after Easter. So we are giving you a little bit of time to think about it, but we would love for as many of you to kind of get in on this as possible. We thought it would be a fun way to bring back our Friday vibe checks, but also include our agents and teams.
And the key to it too is, how do we amplify your brands? Is the content of influence and a content theme? How do we push you outside your comfort zone? How do we push you into doing something? To Isam's point, his first video will be likely his worst video, and then it will get progressively better. And how do we put a spin on it to encourage you guys to create content and put different things out there, and then use our platforms to enhance your brand and give you guys opportunities, is the way we were thinking about it. So more news to come. We'll be following up with a note to give you more details for those that wish to participate. All right, staff, what do these guys need to know around FinCEN? Because a lot of questions and a lot of pushback, and people don't realize that it's a law change, not a compliance change. And so let's help these guys understand FinCEN.
All right, awesome. Well, first up, we've got a number of things to go over this morning, so we'll be quick. It's 2026, so that is a continuing education coursework is due this year and due in December. So just as a reminder, we do really just encourage you guys to take your coursework through the WRA. So if you go to wra.org/CE, that'll take you right to it. You can take your classes online. It goes pretty quick, actually. And then once you have completed all 18 hours, then we will be collecting your certificates as evidence that you guys have completed the coursework. So we're going to divvy this up by office. So if you are in the North Shore or at Highmark, please send your coursework certs to Ashley. Then Lake Country, Tosa, and South Shore, please send your coursework to me. And then Prestige, Andrew will be handling that. So we are going to be tracking this. And then again, once we get closer to the end of the year, then we'll start tracking license renewal as well. So just get this on your radars to complete now. So The next slide. Ashley went over this briefly last week, but I did just want to bring this up again. For MLS tech questions, there is a tech helpline with the MLS that I don't think a lot of people know about. So that's 414-778-5400, option 1. The biggest thing I wanted to drive home was syndication issues. So a lot of people had called this past couple of weeks with syndication issues, and MLS will be able to handle those directly. So please just know that this is a resource for you as well. All right, then I think now we'll get into FinCEN. So yes, this is federal law. This is not a compliance requirement in terms of a Keller Williams requirement. So again, before I get into this slide, as a reminder on what this is, so federal law is now requiring that some sales be reported to the U.S. Treasury's Financial Crimes and Enforcement Department. So we do have a disclosure now that was created by the WRA, and we don't want you guys to overthink this. This is really just a tool to help you guys explain that there might be additional information required that the title company will need. So this isn't even information that you would need to gather. This is more just a heads up if this meets any of the criteria. So mostly if it's a cash deal or if an LLC or a trust is on the other side or on either side of the transaction, then it may need to be required to be reported. Again, your title company or closing agent will handle that. But we just want to give a heads up to the consumer so that there's no delays in closing. And really best practice is just to get this signed along with your buyer agency agreements and the KW disclosures or the listing contract. And I think one thing that a lot of people are getting tripped up on, this does not need to be signed by all parties of a transaction. It just needs to be signed by our side. So if it's your buyer client, your buyer will sign it. If it's your seller client, the seller will sign it. It's not to be signed by all parties of the transaction. So again, just a disclosure, just a tool to help us get the word out, to help move the transaction along. Really, we don't want you guys to overthink it. So, and then Ashley did a great deal defense training on this back in February. Here's the QR code. It was only 12 minutes. So just put this on your headphones and a walk and listen to it in 12 minutes. Easy peasy. Then, okay, so from the hotline, this came up a few times in the past couple of weeks, so we wanted to bring it up. This is a reminder around the inspection threshold in our addendum ACs. So again, if we're going to be including a threshold in our inspection contingencies, this only applies to repairs needed through the inspection contingency. So this does not apply to testing contingency. So if you are including a general testing contingency or a well water or radon testing contingency, those are outside of the threshold language in the AC. You can modify the language to include any repairs as a result of the testing contingencies, but on its face, it's just only applicable to the inspection contingency. So just a reminder on that. And then I think lastly, just a reminder around our hotline and that we can text the hotline, and please just make sure that this is in your phones. And that's all I got.
Sweet. Steph, thank you. Guys, it was a packed team meeting. We actually have additional content that I'm going to push into next week in the interest of time for today. And we will follow up with the content that was still forthcoming. I will get you details on the Zillow Preview platform in the partnership that we just entered into. Be on the lookout for the Battle of the Vibes to help amplify your brand and your voice as a way to leverage our platforms in order to do so. And I want to personally thank Colleen, Emily, Isam, and Tony for sharing their nuggets with us this morning of what they're thinking about and they're building their businesses coming out of family reunion. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee, guys. Go kill it. We're here to serve you, and have an excellent day. Thanks, guys.